Alright, so it's probably pretty obvious to you guys that I didn't get quite as many star reviews up last month as I intended to. I always forget how hectic the end of the year can be when I make commitments like that. I should probably stop doing that. Anyway, to kind of make up for that, I am going to be passing on a few less important episodes, at least for the time being. I'm really trying to prepare for when the show returns, which I believe is soon. I'm probably not actually going to make it, but I'm going to give it the good old college try. And even if I don't quite make it, I do want to be as close as possible. So I did actually ask some of you guys on my Tumblr and on my new Discord, link in the description down below, what a few episodes that I could skip, at least for the time being, might be. Got a pretty good list of episodes that I should definitely watch leading into Battle for Muni. And each of the episodes I skip, while I will read a synopsis of them before I pass them up, I do intend to go back and review at some point when the show is on break. I'm also going to be foregoing my theory next week, replacing it with another Q&A video, so that I have more time to work on reviews next week as well. Announcements aside, let's go ahead and talk about Bon Bon the Birthday Clown, the 14th episode of the second season of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Can you guys believe that I was going to skip this episode? Back when I was making the list myself, I was planning to just skip this episode because of how silly the title sounded. The title sounded silly. I started the episode and watched the first couple of minutes. It seemed like it was just going to be another filler episode. I didn't notice at the time that it was the entire 22 minutes. And so I was going to skip it. Can you guys believe that? Because this episode is not skippable. This episode brings so many different plots together. So many plots converge in this episode. I'm going to be very brief with the description. But just know that watching this is not as simplistic an experience as I'm going to make it out to be right here. Star and Marco have agreed to go to a school dance together as kind of each other's dates. Star is having second thoughts about this because she forgot that she and Jana were supposed to go to the graveyard to wait for the resurrection of Bon Bon the Birthday Clown, a clown that died 100 years past and said he would return at some point in the future, or something along those lines. I don't remember what the exact wording of his prophecy thing was. So she kind of wants to get out of going to the dance with Marco and feels super lucky when Jackie Lynn Thomas actually asks Marco to the dance. Now everybody can have what they want. It's a win-win situation. At least that's what Star thinks right now. Jackie and Marco eventually end up ditching the dance for an actual date. Meanwhile, Star at the graveyard with Jana and Glossaric, who tagged along at the last second, which we'll talk about that in a minute, is super distracted, wondering what's going on with Marco, eventually using dark magic from Eclipse's forbidden chapter of the magic book to spy on them, and sees how much fun they're having. He gets super jealous and accidentally uses some magic on them to make them fall. And again, it was that green magic from before, which you guys have told me is the kind of magic of anger and strong negative emotions. It looks like in this case it was tied to jealousy, whereas for someone like Ludo, it's tied to pain and desperation as well as anger. Good consistency there, by the way. That was really neat. This is about when Bon Bon seemingly resurrects as he said that he would. But it turns out to be Ludo, who I guess heard about the whole legend of Bon Bon and deduced that Star would be there waiting for him to come back, so had kind of dressed up as him. He engages Star, they have a big fight, but he's much more powerful now than he was before. Much more in control of his powers, but it's actually a screw up on Star's part that gets her put in the situation that she ends up being put in this episode, trapped, about to fall into a portal. So it's unclear who would have won out of the two of them. It isn't until a callback from a previous episode, I'll leave it at that, draws Marco's attention to the fact that Star is in danger. He and Jackie run to where she is, back her up, and save her, that she's able to escape. But in the meantime, he gets what he came for, the magic book, and Glossaric along with it. The very last shot of the episode is the super shocking reveal that it seems that Glossaric is now bound to the service of Ludo, much like he would be bound to the service of each of the Queens of Muni. It would seem that anyone who holds a wand and possesses the magic book is his master. Though, I do have a theory about that, which again, I'll talk about that in a second. Can we talk about how cool Jackie was in this episode? I mean, Jackie's always been a cool character. I have never, since the beginning of the series, not liked Jackie Lynn Thomas. She's just neat. She's a neat, laid-back, chill, accepting, nice, all-around, generally likable character. And I do know that the events of the previous episode, Naysaya, did affect her choice to ask Marco out. At least I would assume that it did, since there was a mention in the synopsis that he unloads some of his feelings about her in that episode. But let's not kid ourselves. Her asking him out, or him asking her out, one or the other, has been in the works for a while. This is something that I knew was coming. There was also a pretty strong hint at the end of the one with the Truth or Dare machine, I can't remember the title of it, that Star did have feelings for Marco, so I wondered if there was going to be some friction, sort of a love triangle between the three of them once the relationship between Marco and Jackie that I knew was coming did start, and it looks like that is going to be the case. This is a super interesting turn of events, and while I do see Star and Marco as being a more likely long-term romantic relationship in this show, just because they are the two main characters, Marco and Jackie together on their date were adorable. They had a lot of chemistry together, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of this relationship as it unfolds. I also think it's really worth noting how good a job this episode did of playing with our expectations. You really feel like it's just going to be another silly filler episode of the show, just like every single other silly filler episode of the show. And then it turns that all completely on its head and gives us this big, shocking twist at the end. Bravo, guys. This is the kind of thing I'd like to see from other modern cartoons. Steven Universe. This episode was tons of setup for tons of stuff. It converged a lot of plot lines, but it also set more up. This effectively put an end to Star's magic training plotline that's been going on for a while now. It wrapped up Ludo's plotline in that he got the book. He got what he was after. I mean, there's still more to his plot that needs to be resolved, but that aspect of it at least was resolved. The whole will they, won't they between Marco and Jackie has been resolved, and I think that something that Glossaric said was also resolved in this episode. Page Turner was the name of the episode. In Page Turner, he asked the Queen to trust him. Now, as powerful as Glossaric is, they even showed off how magically powerful he is in that episode. As powerful as he is, I find it hard to believe that he didn't know that something like this was coming. It's already been hinted that he has some amount of clairvoyance, that he can, in some limited way, see the future. I think that he saw something in Star's future that made him not only go along with her to that graveyard, but that convinced him that he should allow himself to be taken by Ludo, maybe to infiltrate Ludo's ranks, maybe for some entirely different reason. But even though the end of this episode does imply that he is on Ludo's side as long as Ludo possesses both the wand and the book, at least that's what I took away from it. I'm betting that he is still on Star's side, that he is just playing a different angle now. The way he spoke to the Queen, it really felt like his loyalty was to them, to the royal family. Not that his loyalty could be transferred so easily. I could be wrong. Maybe this is wishful thinking. Maybe I've just come to like Glossaric more than I realized, and I don't want him to be a bad guy now. But I really do get the sense that this isn't as simple as we are being led to believe. Which, to be fair, describes this show in a nutshell, really. This episode was fantastic. I'm super glad that I watched it. I'm super glad that you guys got to me in time to keep me from skipping it, because it's unskippable, as I said before. This is a major plot episode. Like, going forward from here, watching a plot episode, you're not going to understand what's happening unless you've seen this one. I really liked it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite episode of the show so far, because most of the impact comes from how much it's setting up and how big that twist at the end was. But it was definitely up there with some of the best episodes of the show, and I'm hoping this marks a turning point where it's more plot-driven from here on out. It certainly seems to be, considering that I wasn't able to narrow the episodes down nearly as much as I expected I would be able to, based on how the filler-to-plot ratio went earlier in the series. Overall, this show is really impressing me, especially as of late, and this episode was no exception. That said, though, guys, if you have seen Bon Bon the Birthday Clown, what did you guys think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below. Also, again, a really quick reminder, I do have a Discord. Link in the description down below. Go there, check it out, it'll be fun. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.